Does Carolina re-sign Miko Rantanen at $14 million? Do we go out, grab another big name player like a Mitch Marner in free agency? What does Carolina do with their $38 million in salary cap space next year? So the new projections have come out for the NHL salary cap, and they're suggesting that as of next year, the salary cap moves from $88 million to $95,500,000. Carolina already was in a good space or a good spot for salary cap going into next year with guys like Dmitry Orlov, Brent Burns, and a couple other big name pieces coming off of the books as well. But now Carolina is looking at next year with $38 million. And let me just tell you, I like where we're at with our salary cap space. It gives us a lot of room to do a lot of things. So I'm going to go through all the guys that will not be automatically re-signed as of right now. So Taylor Hall is a UFA going into next season. Miko Rantanen is a UFA going into next season. Jack Roselvich is a UFA. Jesper Fast, who has not played this season, but he still is on the books. He is under long-term IR right now, but he would come off of the books as well too. Eric Robinson does not have a contract. Juha Jaska, Tyson Yost, or Ryan Suzuki is an RFA as well too. And then on the back end, it is Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov. Dmitry Orlov, $7.75 million coming off. And then Brent Burns is $5.28. And also Freddie Anderson's coming off the books as well. But I'm going to pass it over to you guys. I mean, Carolina has done some really good stuff as far as the salary cap and making sure that we never kind of push ourselves into not having a lot of option. And when it comes to even the trade deadline, but $38 million just seems a bit crazy. I mean, what do you think Carolina is doing? What's their main focus? Is it signing Miko Rantanen? Of course, I think that's my situation, but I'm going to pass it over to you guys. What do you guys think the approach should be for Carolina?
Yeah, I think Cameron said it previously, sign Rantanen. I mean, pure and simple. Get him on the books, get him signed. We got plenty of space to do it. Get him on the books for, even if we came at him for $13 million for 8 years. I think he's worth it and get him locked in. So I do. I think he's the most important signing that we're going to have to lock up, because if not, then letting go of Marty Necas is absolutely a lose for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Rantanen needs to be the number one target for sure. I think if you can get Hall at a decent price, I think, obviously Hall's could be a good ad for sure. I also think Robinson should be a target that they try.
I do too.
Mean, right now he's on $900,000 contract. I mean, I think you throw him, $1.5 million for 4 years, I think he'll be happy. So I think that's those are the guys for sure that you're looking at. Rantanen, give him 13 and a half, 14. I don't really care. Just give him whatever he wants for an 8-year. Just give it to him and move on. Hopefully, on the back end, we're losing Orlov and Burns. Those are coming off the books, but potentially have 2 rookie defensemen coming in with Nikishin and Morrow next year. I'm hoping that is the case, and I'm hoping that that's kind of what happens. I mean, I'm assuming they're not going to put a whole lot of trust in Morrow. I think out of those two, you'll definitely see Nikishin in the lineup. He'll be part of the 6.
As long as he gets signed.
I don't know if you'll see Morrow. Yeah, assuming he gets signed. And Morrow is kind of hit or miss. I mean, I think he deserves to be up here. I do. I think he's that good. I think he's a better version of Brent Burns right now. So I think he's a 1-for-1 replacement for Burns for me. And then obviously, Nikishin is, way better offensively and probably a little bit more defensively responsible than Orlov, and you're going to have him on a rookie contract. So I think those rookie contracts are really going to help the Canes for the cap next year for sure. And it can allow them to make even bigger signings. Maybe they go out and get somebody like a Mitch Marner, or somebody that has that, high cap space or high cap hit that the Canes can afford to take. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have are coming off the books that, it's unlike last year where the guys going into UFA, we were like, well, man, can we try and resign
Is it
these
worth
guys?
the money? We're not going to have a ton.
Is it worth the money?
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
Mhm.
like how do we make these guys work in our system for some of these guys? But, good luck to Orlov next year and good luck to Burns next year. I don't know where they're going to be. I really hope they don't come back to Carolina. No offense to them. They've been great, but we got guys come up and coming that are going to fill those shoes quite nicely. So,
So
I'm not too concerned on the back end. I just hope they don't re-sign either of them.
the one thing with
honestly.
the back end, that I really could see Carolina doing, I think Dmitry Orlov is gone. I think he probably still fetches $5.5–6 million somewhere, and I don't think Carolina is willing to pay that, especially with the salary cap going the way. He might get another $7 million a year contract.
He might,
to be completely
yeah.
honest, just with how much it's going up. But I could very well see Carolina, and I know I wouldn't enjoy this, but giving Morrow an extra year in Chicago and signing Burns to a 1-year contract at about $2 million, $2.5 million, somewhere in that range where he's taking a pay cut, and he knows that, but it's the final year of kind of his hurrah. He's a 40-year-old person, 40 years old at that point. It would be kind of his last season. I could very well see Carolina doing that. I really don't think Dmitry comes back though. Looking at the forward side, yes, Rantanen needs to be top signing. I don't think we get this with Eric Robinson having a career high in goals and assists already at this point in his season. I could see him honestly fetching, especially where the salary cap's going. I could see him fetching what Nason got in New Jersey, where he's making, $3.5 million. I could really see him in that kind of position or in that range. I don't think he even gets Carrier money because with the salary cap going up so much higher, all of a sudden these $2 million players become $4 million players, or they become $5 million players because there's just room in the cap to allow that to happen. So there's going to be teams that offer that amount of money to these players.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, it really depends on the mindset of the player. Because I love the way Eric Robinson plays, and I love what he brings to our lineup. He and I think it's just a matter of if he wants the money, he can probably fetch it somewhere else for sure. But if he wants the opportunity to, and who knows, we may pay him that money too.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm just saying I don't see him signing for 1.5. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be. I think if we give him 2.5 for like 4 years, that might be a reasonable contract. That he might be like that's team friendly, but also he's getting some money. But I could see him open market probably 3.5. I mean, I don't think I'm crazy in saying that that's what he probably gets now.
No,
I think Carolina still does whatever they can in their power to re-sign him because I love Eric Robinson. I think he's a great fit here. I don't want to get rid of him. I'm just saying, I was just kind of backing off of what Cam had said earlier at the 1.5. I think he probably just fetches a little bit more with how much money is now available in that pool.
Yeah. And it depends on what he wants to take too. Like, who knows? He might take 1.5 and be happy with it. So,
or he might want to be here
disagree.
because he likes the culture here. He likes, he likes living here, and all of that goes into it too. So some guys chase the money, some don't. So we'll see what he wants to do.
So we'll see. But yeah, a lot of good baggage. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the Canes are going to end up re-signing Roselvich. I think if they might, I don't know. I mean, if they can get a deal on him, I think he's probably going to want more just because of the goals he's put up this year. So I think he's going to fetch probably $4 to $5 million somewhere. I don't know where that's going to be. I don't see the Canes paying that much for him. So we'll see. But yeah, they got a lot of room to work with. But Rantanen is number one, man. Until you get him locked up, you really can't have your eyes on anybody else. I mean, you can obviously do more than one deal for sure. And I know they've been talking to Robinson for a while, trying to get a contract worked out with him. So hopefully it works out. But yeah, I mean, and like you said with Burns, if they can get Burns at a deal, like if they can get him at a low price, and I'm talking low. Like I'm not talking $3 million. I'm talking 1 to 1.5. If they want to pay him that, sure. If it's anything north of 2, send him somewhere else. Let him test the market. I'm serious. Like he's not worth the 5 we're paying him now, and he's not going to be worth the 2 we'll pay him next year. I'd rather see Morrow up there, get some experience in the NHL. That's what I'd rather see.
I don't disagree, but I also go back to your point where you just mentioned that you think maybe Morrow's not quite as ready as Nikishin is. And there's a difference to that. Morrow is 22 years old. Nikishin is going to be 25 when he does come in. And I don't want to see a situation where you see what happens with a Kokeniemi and a Svechnikov, even in this regard, where they come into the league too soon. And all of a sudden it becomes more of a detriment than it helps to the team. And so I'd rather have us progress Morrow as much as he needs progression. And then if he needs another year, there's probably better options than Brent Burns, but anybody that takes a 1-year contract that's probably going to be even more team friendly to us just due to the fact that he's been playing here. I could very well see it just happening. I don't want it to happen. I think Morrow probably is an NHL ready defenseman. I personally think that, but there are people that don't think that. And those people are the ones that probably will make the ultimate decision. So
yeah, we'll see.
But
yeah,
with Carolina having
a lot of room to work with.
Yes. So I wanted to go over real quick the free agents that are available if my computer ever loads here. So give me one moment. So we have John Tavares comes off the books for Toronto. Mitch Marner comes off the books for Toronto. Jamie Benn, Miko Rantanen, Nick Backstrom, but I don't think he's going to be re-signing anywhere. Burns, Orlov, Aaron Ekblad, Ivan Provorov, Brock Besser, Claude Giroux, Brad Marchand. Anybody kind of piquing your interest in this group, I'm going to stop sharing my screen on this, and I'm going to move it over to the other screen real quick. But out of those kind of initial names I gave you, anybody piquing your interest that you think would be a good fit in Carolina?
I guess it really depends on the price tag on some of those guys. I think, to have a guy that, depending on where we are in our cycle, a guy like, I know he's probably not going to be cheap, but a guy like John Tavares, I think he might be a good ad, just because of what his pedigree and correct me if I'm wrong, and I was wrong earlier, so I'm probably wrong again, but he's a centerman. So
he is, yes, so but I don't think Johnny T leaves Toronto.
No, what I'm saying is that that wasn't your question. Your question was which one piques our interest, and I think he would be a guy that if you can get him for the right price,
yes,
he would be a good ad.
I'm that way with Ekblad.
Of that list.
I'm that exact same way, but with Ekblad. But to Kyle's point, I don't see Ekblad leaving Florida. If he does, I would love to see Carolina pick up a guy like Ekblad for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's turning 29, so he's got at least another 5 or 6 years of high-end production left. I really think, he would be. If you're really going to, let Morrow develop, if that would be the direction I would go instead of re-signing Burns at 3 or whatever. So instead of re-signing Burns at a discount, I'd rather use that money, pick up maybe a couple of guys or bring up a guy like Nadeau or something just to run on a rookie contract up on the 4th line or something like that. And then, get a guy like Ekblad. I mean, I think that would be, that would be a good add to the back end. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's a cup winner. Like, he's obviously part of that Florida culture. He knows what it takes. He's got it all, and he's been in Florida forever, and he's been the anchor for them for literally since he came into the NHL. So I think that would be, again, I think he does end up re-signing with Florida, assuming they don't run into cap issues. But yeah, I mean, everybody else on the list is, hit or miss for me. I mean, there's some guys on there that,
there's a
but
couple names that really pique my interest. One of them, Andrei Kuzmenko, can be a good player. He just is kind of very all over the place. Kind of same with this Gavrikov guy. But a Brad Marchand, Nikolai Ehlers, one of those two guys, they're very good goal scorers. I kind of like the Marchand move just in the sense of he's a pest, but that also can be a detriment to a team. And we don't really need more wingers. A guy like Brock Nelson. Now that one is a little bit more interesting to me than Johnny T, just because I think Brock Nelson can fit our system just slightly better because we play with a lot of speed And unfortunately, Jonathan Tavares has never really had great top end speed, but he's lost definitely more of a step. So I mean, I would like that option possibly. Jamie Benn is interesting. Don't ever think he leaves Dallas, but if he did, that's a big guy and he could be a big player in a playoff run for sure.
He was going to be my other one for sure.
Yeah. Even a Claude Giroux, 37 years old, at a right price tag, he could be an asset to a team, especially because he can play that center role. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be getting Miko Rantanen signed. We got to get Miko signed because without him getting signed, we have to then go after a Mitch Marner or we have to go after somebody else because then, yes, like you said, that trade becomes irrelevant in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my parting question to you would be, if we have the cap space and if we have more room coming up moving forward, does Carolina leverage a lot more this offseason and really go make a big splash? Or do you think Tulsky kind of says, hey, we're going to have even more? Because you look at the season following, they have, I think it's $57 million in cap space or something like that. So with new guys and fresh blood coming into the prospect pool, and then on top of that, we have a lot of prospects that are coming up. What is Jackson Blake going to be fetching in 2 years' time?
Right.
What is Bradley Nadeau going to be? I mean, Bradley Nadeau's been lighting up the AHL the past month and a half. I think he's got almost a goal a game in the last month and a half. He's been lighting it up. So if he's ready in 2 years' time, what does his contract look like? What does Morrow's contract look like? What does Nikishin's contract look like? So I think outside of Rantanen, we might not see Carolina make as many moves as we expect them to with the cap space they have.
Yeah.
With the expectation that in 2 years' time, we're going to probably have 4 or 5 guys in the tens of millions of dollars range.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that's what Tulsky's good at. I mean, he's a a stats guy. So he'll do the math. There's no doubt. He's a damn rocket scientist. So I mean, he'll do the math when it comes to what the team looks like, not only this year, next year, but 2 years, 3 years into the future. So I think to your point, Kyle, I think we're going to be the key component is getting Rantanen signed, and then after that, it's a matter of balancing what we need, what we're missing against what we're going to have to pay in year 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
For some of these rookies, because Jackson Blake's going to command a good salary. He's going to command a good bump when he gets ready to come off that rookie contract. So, I mean, he's factoring all that in. So you're getting a bump in the salary cap, but you're also getting a bump in some of these rookies coming off these contracts. And so we'll see. But I think Rantanen priority, and then after that, it's wherever the gaps are. Just fill them with the right player.
Pretty much. No, that's it. I mean, it's. You're going to have to pay Blake a lot. I mean, you can already see how good he's going to be, how good he already is, and how good he's going to be. Give him a couple of years, he could be one of the top guys on the team. So, I mean, it's a balancing act. I think they try and maybe sign some guys to maybe 2 or 3 year deals if they can. That's where, again, maybe some of the pull for some of these older guys might be good. So you sign a 30, 33, 34-year-old to a 2 or 3 year deal. I mean, there might be more up for that than a lot of other teams are willing to give them. So who knows?
Shoot,
I mean,
you could probably
just a matter of waiting and seeing, I guess, at this point. But yeah, Miko needs to be re-signed.
That needs to be priority one, but you could probably get Marner on a 2 or 3 year deal because I think he's going to start doing what Matthews does. Matthews only takes 3 year deals because he knows every 3 years the cap's going to go up even higher. He can make even more money. So I think Marner is probably going to start doing the same thing. But I one final point, and then I'm going to wrap it. The absolute steal that Seth Jarvis is going to be in 2 years' time when he's making $7.5 or $8 million.
I think 7.5.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Look how good he is now. And think of 3 years from now when the salary cap is like $110 million. He's going to be the biggest steal in the NHL. But that's where I'm going to leave it. So that's what we feel on the Canes cap situation moving forward. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Who should we go after? Should we wait and kind of see what is going to happen with some of these rookies and see what's going to develop with them and what we're going to have to pay them? Or do we go make a big splash like getting a Mitch Marner and then keeping Miko Rantanen because we technically have the space to do both? And all of a sudden we become a very dynamic team. So But let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And until next time, we bid you adieu.